All right, welcome back to part 2 of our shoulder series. In part 1, introduced a screen that you can use to help identify how well the shoulder's functioning. In part 2, what we're going to do is cover a couple exercise progressions to help improve your shoulder function and or range of motion. So in order to do that, it's important to understand, developmentally speaking, what we require out of our shoulder in order to have it functioning as well as it can. And that starts with proper activation or proper muscle function of the musculature around our shoulder blade or our scapula. And if we follow the developmental model, you see children by the age of 3 months roughly able to support themselves in a prone position. So one of the things that I'll automatically recommend to people that I work with, if it's postural related in their mid-back or thoracic spine, or shoulder related, and we want to improve their posture but also improve how their muscular system is holding, is this position here. And to set up, you want your elbows roughly up by your ears, hands relaxed on the ground, your weight on your elbows and forearm, but mostly toward your elbow. If you were to find that inside elbow bony notch, your medial epicondyle, this is where you want your weight. From here, if you keep your head relaxed, you'll simply lift the chin up. You want a nice, tall, long neck. Hips, everything's relaxed, but I want to be able to rotate my shoulders externally. So there should be a little bit of rotation of the shoulder back. And this is a static position. You simply hold this, keeping your chest tall, sternum up, and from here, you can work on some reaches. So we're working on stability on one side, motion or movement on the other. Now, from there, we can progress to the hands, okay? We use this screen. Similarly, we want the hands loaded as we discussed in video 1. We don't want the pecs on, also discussed in part 1. But from here, we can incorporate motion, okay? Support on my left side, motion on the right. You want nice clean movement, no spinal movement. Everything's happening from the shoulder. Work in flexion, can work some lateral movement and external rotation here. What we're ideally trying to accomplish here is the anti-gravity or suction cup effect of the serratus of the scapula against the rib cage. You'll get some lower mid-trap activation. It helps to quiet down some overactivity of muscles like the levator, the upper trap, infraspinatus, teres, which are commonly hypertonic, overactive, tight, with individuals that have poor posture or poor shoulder function. Now, once someone is really good in those positions, we can go to more demanding positions, such as a plank. All right, so a traditional plank, where if we want to progress it and go from an incline platform, is a great place to start here. So I would have my forearms on the ground, okay, or the bench. Same principles apply here. You want to feel like you're creating some external rotation with the shoulders. You want your rib cage held up into the scapula, and then keeping the torso and the abdominals locked in a good plank position. From here, you can always progress down to the floor and hold a plank. If we want to challenge some oblique support, anti-rotation, anti-extension function all in one, we can go into a one-arm plank. Hold that for a little time and then switch. Those are some exercise progressions. Again, you can go from incline to the floor and so on. That would be more so support from the forearms, elbows, as we expressed. That's going to hit some of the spinal musculature a little harder. Same principles can be applied from the hands as well. Now, lastly, if we want to work on upward rotation function of the shoulder, specifically of the serratus, wall slides are a great exercise. You'll oftentimes see now it's becoming quite popular to see a wall slide performed with a foam roller. So a wall slide simply is performed facing the wall. Traditionally, you face the wall and you just slide the arms straight up and down. This helps with the shoulder blade, the scapula, again, wrapping around. All right, you're going to get some proper trap function, proper serratus function to accommodate your glenohumeral joint and how it should track with overhead movements. If you want to incorporate the wall slide with the foam roller, simply place that at shoulder height. Typically you want to start this on your hand, so as you roll up, you don't run out of real estate. Again, don't worry about performing a certain number of reps, as the quality matters. Other than that, the other exercise that I'll throw into the mix is for those that have kettlebells available to them, is an upside down kettlebell hold, okay? With this, you're gonna get reflexive function and contraction of the rotator cuff. In this position, I must stabilize. And I keep my shoulder packed and down, so I can't have my shoulder rounding forward or in a poor loading or stabilizing strategy position. Here, I'm automatically forced into a proper loading position. You can perform walks. Okay, with this, you're going to get tremendous work through your abdominals as well, as we have a unilateral load. So you're going to get some lateral support musculature function, challenging your oblique system to help stabilize not only just your shoulders, but your spine and your pelvis as well. This is something that can be performed for distance. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can likewise perform this with an overhead position. I'd simply put the kettlebell in a rack position, press up, holding my shoulder in a proper position. And Ryan, I'll show you this real quick here if you want to notice where my shoulder is. It's down in a proper loaded position. It's not up on my ear. If you're wearing your shoulder as an earring, you're creating impingement. So you want proper scapular alignment, glenohumeral alignment, and that should not be crowding close to your ear or your neck. So here, a little bit more of a challenging position to challenge in a walking sense. Lastly, an exercise that is great to perform is the upside down kettlebell press. So same thing would be utilized, same position as the walk, but from here we simply press up and control it down. Again, because of the increased stabilization demands, you get increased firing of the rotator cuff, your scapula, and the tracking that it has to do along the rib cage will automatically fire up. The kettlebell essentially teaches you the movement. You just have to execute it ideally, otherwise you're going to lose it. So it's a tremendous teaching tool because the implement does a lot of the coaching for you. Again, these are some simple progressive strategies to help develop ideal shoulder function. In part 3 of this series, we're going to get into more strength training or performance related elements. Stay tuned for that one, as our head performance coach Ryan Gallagher will be bringing you that.